So, you're on the hunt for a home loan. What's the first thing you look for? Probably the lowest interest rate, right? We all do. But what if I told you the best loan isn't always the cheapest one? It's actually a strategic game. And the rules? Well, they totally change depending on one simple thing, whether you're buying a house or just refinancing.
And for this breakdown, we're leaning on some serious pros, the experts over at Finance Hub and Networks. These guys are deep in the trenches every day, so they know exactly how this game is played and why a broker strategy has to be smart and flexible to get the best results for you.
Which really brings us to the big question, doesn't it? Do you think all mortgage searches are basically the same? Spoiler alert, they absolutely are not. In fact, a good broker's priority list completely flips depending on your goal. It's a whole different ballgame.
All right, first up, the purchase playbook. This is the strategy for buying a home.
Okay, so when you're trying to buy a property, you have to remember you're not just shopping, you're competing. It's a race. And in this race, it's all about three things: certainty, speed, and good old-fashioned competitive strength. So let's look at how this priority list is stacked. Number one, no surprise, is the chance of approval. I mean, if you can't get the loan, everything else is pointless, right? The deal's dead. But look at number two, speed of approval. This is huge. In a bidding war, a fast approval can be the thing that wins you the house. Next up is your approval limit, how much cash you can bring to the table. That's your negotiating power. And way down here, at number four, that's the lowest cost. Yeah, it's important, but it's totally useless if you lose your dream home because another buyer's financing came through faster.
And this really hits the nail on the head. You gotta remember, in a competitive market, a seller isn't just looking at the dollar signs. They're looking for the sure thing. A buyer with a rock-solid, lightning-fast approval is way more attractive than someone who might have their financing fall through. Speed isn't just speed, it's strength.
Okay, so that's the high-pressure world of buying, but what happens when the pressure's off? When you're not trying to beat out other buyers, but just trying to get a better deal for yourself? Let's switch gears and talk about the refinance playbook.
When you're refinancing, the whole dynamic changes. You already own the house. There's no bidding war, no tight deadline stressing you out. So the focus completely shifts away from speed and zeroes in on what really matters here: pure financial benefit.
And you can see that shift right here in the priority list. Okay, chance of approval is still king. You gotta qualify. But look what's jumped up to number two, the approval limit. This is just about making sure the new loan is big enough to pay off your old debts. And the really big move? Lowest cost is now at number three. This is the main event. This is why you're refinancing in the first place, to save money. And poor old speed, it's been kicked all the way to the bottom. It's nice, sure, but definitely not urgent.
All right, so we've looked at the two playbooks separately. Now for the fun part. Let's put them side by side for the big reveal and see just how different the strategies really are.
This table lays it all out perfectly. You can see chance of approval is always number one, that's the foundation, but check out everything else. Approval limit creeps up in importance for a refi, but the real headline here is the total flip-flop between cost and speed. I mean, they literally trade places on the priority list. It's night and day.
So what this all boils down to is a classic showdown: urgency versus value. When you're buying a home, it's all about urgency. Speed is your secret weapon. You might even deliberately choose a slightly more expensive loan if it means you get a super fast guaranteed approval. But with a refinance, the mission is all about value. You're on a treasure hunt for savings, and finding the lowest cost trumps speed every single time. Okay, so let's bring this all home. What's the big takeaway here? What does all this mean for you?
It really comes down to this. Finding the right loan is about having the right strategy. It's not just about punching numbers into a rate finder and picking the lowest one.
So here's what this means for you. First, a great broker is a strategist, not just a rate shopper. They should be asking you about your goals right from the start. Second, you now know what your priorities should be. If you're buying, think speed and certainty above all else. If you're refinancing, it's all about maximizing those savings. And finally, and this is maybe the most important part, you are now a much smarter partner in this whole process. You understand the why behind the strategy, which lets you have a much better conversation with your broker.
And that leaves us with just one question for you. Because this isn't just some interesting theory, right? This is a practical guide for one of the biggest financial moves you'll ever make. So now that you know the strategy, what's your goal?